The Hilltop Glove Podcast is sponsored by Mid-Carolina Service Company.
Mid-Carolina Service Company is the first name to search for your residential or commercial HVAC needs in Lexington and surrounding areas.
Just go holler at Jason and Clint. They'll hook you up on the air conditioners, on the restaurant equipment, refrigerators, refrigeration, ice machine repair. They've been doing this for years. I know them cats forever.
Family owned and operated since 2006, they pride themselves in their quality work and customer relationships. Call 803-356-4153 or visit midcarolinaserviceco.com for a no obligation quote for service today.
The Hilltop Glove Podcast is sponsored by True Brilliance Entertainment.
True Brilliance is a production, promotions, and management company dedicated to connecting artists and producers across the Carolinas to music industry professionals.
Several of their clients have placements both domestic and internationally as a result of their services.
Are you an artist or producer looking to build meaningful relationships within the music industry? Then True Brilliance is for you. Check them out at paramilitary.com. That's spelled P-A-I-R-A military.com.
This episode of the Hilltop Glove Podcast is sponsored by Bob's. Bob's is a Columbia-based retailer of over 100 Black-owned products from 20 Black-owned businesses. Bob's offers a wide range of items from household cleaning, cosmetics, and everything in between. With every visit to Bob's, you support Black-owned businesses, giving them the opportunity to grow and establish connections with our community. Bob's is located inside the Noma warehouse at 2222 Sumter Street in Columbia, South Carolina. Visit their website, weshopbobs.com, for in-store pickup or to find out more. Bob's can also be found via social media on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at weshopbobs. When you stop by, tell them the Hilltop Glove sent you. Bob's brings quality Black brands to the Columbia community. The Hilltop Glove Podcast is sponsored by Red Rooster Sports Bar and Grill. Red Rooster is your neighborhood bar and grill serving the best wings, burgers, and baskets in the Met.
Like the amazing food, the bar is always on tap, and there's plenty of screens to watch the big game. Red Rooster is the Midland's premier meetup spot for local car and bike clubs, fraternities, and sororities.
Staff is dedicated to accommodating all kinds of parties and events. If you're looking to catch a game, have a bite, and a drink, look no further than the Red Rooster.
Red Rooster is located at 7500 Wilson Boulevard, Columbia, South Carolina. For more information, visit redroostersportsbar.com or visit them on Facebook, Instagram at Red Rooster Sports Bar. Go where the winners go.
Welcome to the Hilltop Glove Podcast.
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 Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Hilltop Glove Podcast. Today we had the pleasure of speaking with Miss Stephanie Gaynor. Stephanie is a 3D assemblage artist located in Charlotte, North Carolina. Her current work involves reconfiguring beloved childhood toys and other nostalgic items into sculptural forms that often evoke a visceral response from viewers. Exploring the lines between the disturbing and whimsical, eerie and humorous, Stephanie upcycles these novelties into magical sculptures that saves the previously found objects from the landfill. She graduated with a Bachelor's of Arts from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte with her focus in ceramics. Afterwards, she obtained a studio in Concord, North Carolina. After a while, she advanced the appreciation for clay and started using porcelain doll heads to mold as molds to create quirky mugs, vessels, and sculptures. Just prior to the pandemic hitting and having to close her studio, the journey to creating dark fairy tale-like assemblages had been revealed and continues to this very day. Thank you for joining us today. How are you doing, Ms. Gaynor?
I'm doing good. It's a beautiful day.
Yes,
Glad to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. We always like to start the interviews by asking the interviewee about their early beginnings and influences. So, as simple as can be put, Can you start by telling our audience a little bit more about yourself and your childhood?
I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, wow.
So up north again, down south.
Yeah.
And we moved here we moved to Georgia, Augusta area, so not far from Columbia.
Wow.
When I was 13. And it was a big difference coming from, And we weren't in the city of Cleveland, but we were in the suburbs and moved to the suburbs out in Augusta too. But it was great. It was a wonderful experience growing up, and I think in those teenage years in the South, because we might have gotten in some more trouble.
That's what my grandma said. Yeah, raise them down south.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So did you, and growing up in the South, did you have influences as a child that drove you into the artistic creative space?
Yeah, later on in high school, but it actually started still up in Ohio when, this is going to sound funny, but I had a first grade teacher that I remember to this day, and we were coloring, and she showed the whole class my drawing because I darkened the outer edges and then did color it, and they're like, this is really nice and it stands out. And I remember that first grade.
Yeah.
And so I really realized how important it is to have teachers in your life who really respond and encourage you to do more with that. Even though at the time I don't think she realized. Well, she may have, but at the time maybe I didn't realize it, but later on. And then when I was in high school, I took a graphic arts class, and they taught us a little bit of everything from printmaking to, we actually got to go into an actual dark room, the printer press and everything. And he was very encouraging. And so I wanted to be a commercial artist at that time. And that I also wanted to be Julie McCoy on the Love Boat at the time. It didn't really work out that way. But yeah, in the South, I just had more access to art, I think. I went to, our parents took us, and trips through school took us to more museums and things like that. And my kids, when they were growing up, they didn't have as many trips to museums as we did when we were kids.
They take kids on a lot of field trips. That's the main trip you would take. Museums and libraries.
To see history and see what got you to where you're at now.
Yeah, it wasn't even necessarily just art museums. It was natural history and things like that.
And that stuff that affected the way that you view the world and you view art, correct?
Yeah. I think I was always in an artistic way. My brothers, they would kill me. I was talking about this, but I used to put on little plays for the parents, and they were always the ones that I dressed up. I'm the only girl. I have two younger brothers. Okay, and then it's a long story, but it's an amazing story.
Go ahead.
4 years. What was this? It was almost 5 years ago. Okay, my half brother contacted my cousin on Facebook. And then she contacted me. So I knew about him when I was in my mid-20s. Yeah. My mom got pregnant and was sent to a home for my mother's back in the day. Her mother sent her there. Yeah. And they hid it from the whole family. The only people that knew were my mom and my grandmother. And apparently my mom told my dad, because one day it slipped out. And he told me, and I didn't believe him. But I was like, Mom. And she's like, yeah, when your brothers get home, I'll sit down and tell you guys the whole story, and then we'll never talk about it again because nobody in the family knew.
Wow.
So she passed away in 2014, but in 2018, my husband got me a 23andMe kit. Yeah. For Christmas. Okay. And then I did the whole, put the saliva in the tube. Yeah. Yep. And unknowingly, my half brother, who was up in Cleveland the whole time, lived 20 minutes from me.
What?
Oh, God.
Yep. And he got one for his birthday, which ironically, my mother, I think she did it to throw us off the trail a little bit, was my birthday is February 28th, 1968. She always told me that his birthday was February 27th, 1967, but it was in 66. So that kind of threw us off. Yeah. And so we found each other, and it has been the most amazing 5 years. Yeah. Wow. It's been incredible.
It's so crazy. Every time I hear stories about siblings like living that close to each other, I think it's like spiritual type thing. Like, how did y'all even get that close and not know each other?
Well, the weird thing is that he knows a lot of people that my husband know.
Oh, wow. Shut the front door.
They played sport in the same areas, and my husband's father, we believe, knew his birth father at some point because of sports. And yeah, it was just really wild. The coincidences all the time just amaze me, still even to this day. He has 2 biological brothers up in Ohio and 2 biological sisters, me and from his birth father's side here in Charlotte.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What in the heck?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Good gosh. So how did that change your life?
It made my world a lot smaller. And so I'm the oldest. I thought it,
you thought
was the oldest. And then my brother, 1 year younger than me, he passed away in 2008, and not replacing the newfound brother, but they were so much alike. They would have loved each other dearly, and it was just another sign of this world. We evolve, we transform and change, and I know that sounds really hokey, but
no point.
Just everything comes around. And and his kids are great, his wife is great, and it was very easy. It was very easy.
Yeah, you didn't have to force anything. It felt like it was supposed to be there.
Nothing. It was funny because when I actually went up to Ohio to meet him for the first time, we had talked on the phone for 5 hours. We talked the first time, and I think I cried 3 of them. Wow. But when we finally met, I'm coming down the escalator at the airport, and he's got a sign that says "sister." It's just still today the best story. I love it.
Man, it's a great story, because especially with the stuff that we're talking about today, that's right on the money of understanding, like, family, connections, spirituality, and just knowing where you're going or how things are influencing you.
Yeah.
You as an artist, when did you realize that this was what you wanted to do as first of all, as your educational goals, and then moving forward into adulthood? I
pretty much knew all my life, except for that little stint where I wanted to be on the Love Boat.
Love Boat was tight now. Let's play it. Yeah, Love Boat's good now. I'm playing with it.
I always knew I wanted to be an artist in some capacity, but I didn't go to college right after high school, which my mom really wanted me to, and I just wanted to take that year off to find myself. And I found myself making money and not going back to school. And then I got married for a short stint, and he didn't really want me to further my education. So I didn't. And then I like to call myself a late bloomer, because I didn't start college until I was like 38. And waited till I have 2 children, and waited till my youngest started kindergarten. And then I started college. So that was about 2004. It took me 8 years. Let's just say it took me a while.
Experience.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I got so much from going to school with these younger kids and seeing their ideas and seeing how they think out of the box and how they just treat everyday life. And even being the mom, because I was older, I get that a lot. Like, even in the studio, one of the girls calls me her studio mom. Yeah. Seeing some of their struggles and being able to maybe just lend another voice, not necessarily, your parents can tell you the same thing somebody else tells you.
But when it comes from a peer.
Exactly.
When it comes from somebody else, you're like, oh.
Exactly. Right.
Wisdom. Yeah. I know what this is.
When I'd help my kids with their art or try to help my kids with their art projects.
Like, y'all pay attention to me, swatting.
Yeah. So it was, and then the relationship I had with some of the professors too, because it was different. Some of them.
I ain't. Explain.
Because I was close to their age, a lot of them.
I used to work for a program. It was a Department of Education. It was a trio-based program, and we worked with non-traditional students. And so I had students who would be adults with children, and they'd be in my program, and I would be their counselor. It was weird because I was like 26 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So and then like 35, and they would come to my office and they would talk to me about certain things that were going on, things they need assistance with and stuff. And one thing I used to always utilize them is always like, hey, could you speak with our students about life and how to maintain what you're doing? And so, like, for instance, I never even thought about the fact that their communication, and they used to tell me this too, their communication with professors, totally different than it was with the younger students. So you were almost a one-on-one peer with the professor.
Yeah, for the most part. I think that there were some that were a little bit harder on the non-traditional students.
That's what I was wondering.
Because I don't know, that I can't get into their heads, but I don't know if they thought that you thought it was going to be an easy A because you're more mature and everything. But I had some difficulties with one in a class, and we came through it, and I still did good in the class, but it was interesting. But the rest of my experience with the other professors were incredible. I have some friends now.
Was that professor a math professor?
No, they were art professors. They were art professors.
Art professor? That was wow. This is my fault.
They don't discriminate. I remember I had a lady in my class that was older, and I don't know, she thought that she was going to get an easy grade, but they make you work just as hard as everybody else. Like, they don't care if you got a family at home. Like, you got kids, you're going to do your homework and you're going to submit it, and it's going to be graded equally.
Yeah, because they say I can't remember exactly how many hours it is now, but you can look it up, but it says for every hour long your class is, you have to, I'm going to say it's like 3 to 4 hours. It might be longer for an art.
Because art's different. You're right.
They said it was longer than it was for nursing.
Yeah, because my classes are 3 hours long in art. Each class was 3 hours.
So outside of that, you're spending 10 to 12 hours.
On homework.
Oh,
they did not care if you had other classes. Yeah. They don't care.
And there were times where I didn't go home until the sun was coming up.
Yeah.
Especially in ceramics, which I loved.
In the studio.
Yeah. Because it just takes so long sometimes to fire your kiln and kind of what you're doing. But I loved every minute of it. I felt guilty at times not being home. Yeah. But my husband, we've been married for almost 26 years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And he has been supportive from the beginning. He pushed me to go to school.
Yeah, that's amazing to have the support.
Yeah,
especially when you're older, because you have so much already on your plate, and you're like, well, I can't juggle all of this, and you maintain good grades and quality work,
and you don't want to give that up. Oh yeah, he was great, and we've known each other since we were 12 years old. He was actually my first kiss when I was 13.
Shut the front door.
I ran home. I jumped fences. Oh my God, it was so funny, and it just broke my heart when we moved to Georgia because I left him,
This back in Cleveland?
Yeah, this was back up in Cleveland. Yeah, but he's a Steelers fan, and we don't.
Oh my God!
I am a Browns fan, so you know how loyal I am.
Yeah,
if I'm still a Browns fan.
You're still there. Yeah,
That's
they stole the team, getting all the fake replacement team.
And he likes to remind me that every year. When the Ravens play, it's the real Browns. Yeah, Browns. No, it's not.
Man, but that's interesting. So you're this non-traditional student. You're getting this degree. You're chasing your dream, of course, of being a working artist. With that being said, did you have any thought in your mind of what the outcome was going to look like 5 to 10 years after you? Did you have a plan?
Well, we had a class where we actually had to.
That's what I was wondering.
Plan 5 to 10 years. And it was a great class. My plan didn't look anything like what I had put down on paper. I had this big studio, blah, 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 blah. But life happens.
Yeah.
And you work around life, or you go with life, however you want to say that. Sometimes it feels like you're working around life, but sometimes the flow is there and everything just falls into place. Just like getting the studio not too long after I graduated. And then I had it for a few years, and then the pandemic hit, and just thought it was best to close it down because we were doing clay and everything. And that was really heartbreaking to me, because that was my outlet. And it's not even like, if I'm really upset about something, I can't go into the studio and work out my feelings in art. I don't know why. And I hear a lot of artists who can do that. And I guess that's why a lot of their work is so emotional and everything. I have to be in a happy place. And because I like humor, and I like to put as much humor in as I can. And there's some pieces that I want to do that are more emotional. I just haven't been able to do them.
That's interesting to hear, because like you were saying, I know we were discussing this earlier, that the importance of emotion in art, and sometimes people do feel a need to make sure that is something that is on display and that you feel when you see it. But I like where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I like to do it when I'm happy.
Yeah.
I like to have a clean space. First of all, clean the space.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And then after it's clean, I'm going to be in a happy mood. I'm going to have some light in there. I'm going to put on something I want to see, and I'm going to be excited. And then when I'm happy, I'll go ahead and create art. If I'm not, I'm not touching any art.
Yeah.
I'm leaving it alone.
Exact opposite. I create when I'm mad.
Isn't that wild how we do?
Yeah, I'm mad and
and that's good, because that's a great outlet for you. Yeah. But I just have to, and I'm kind of the same way. I have to. My studio can get a little messy.
Yeah, but it's not when you start.
No, not typically. If I'm getting ready to do a show, that place is a disaster for about a month. I just tried to cram it all in one corner. You saw how small my space is. It's not really big. But But yeah, typically I want to have everything just clear, be able to get in there, not have to worry about anything. I love my studio mates out there. Yeah. Sometimes I have to stop myself from talking so I can actually work.
Yeah. Sure. How do you get ready? Do you some people like sage, put like music on, light a candle? Like, what's your get ready?
Do you do any of that? Yeah.
No, I like to listen to music, or I like to watch one of my goofy shows that my husband doesn't like. I'm really into New Amsterdam right now, or I'll listen to podcasts. Yeah. I wish I could just sit down and read a book. I know that has nothing to do with the studio, but what Tanya was talking about. But I'm thankful to have an audiobooks.
Audiobooks make the day.
Yeah. I just, if I'm sitting there reading, I used to love to read and used to be able to just read for hours, but now I feel like I have too many other things to do, I guess.
It feels like
school ruined it too.
Because you have your forced compulsory reading is something that I think is
I've noticed more so since
I wish that was something that wasn't a part of education, but I guess it has to be. You have to read some text in order to move forward, but like compulsory reading just for the sake of it.
Yeah. One of my art history classes, sometimes we had to read like 100 pages.
That's rough.
Yeah, and then come up with something intelligent to say, and you're like, what was the page?
Yeah. After reading these 100 pages, tell us what you read and how you feel. Yeah.
I remember this one art history class I had was so early in the morning, I would take notes, and I would go back through my notes, and there was like a flat line because I would talk see the world. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
But it's a question about mediums. I know working, like you're talking about, we were working with clay. Very challenging process, especially dealing with sculpting, carving, modeling, assembly, and casting. Can you tell us some of the benefits of using porcelain to craft your pieces, and also your design process from conception? And before you jump into it, I'm let people know I really like what she does. It's really, I dig your work. Because I like the style of art that you do.
Thank you. Yeah, the clay. So have you ever?
I did sculpture class, so I know exactly what you have.
Like in sculpture, the clay's it may have some
bubbles and wet.
Yeah, and it might have more grog in it and everything, especially to sculpt so that it stays together. But for a simple way to put it, but porcelain is like butter. The stuff.
Don't do none of that.
Oh my gosh, it's so nice, and it feels so good in your hands, But when I first started doing clay, actually, I was really into illustration, and then I took a 3D class.
Oh, wow.
And I got hooked doing clay. But I'm not a functional pottery person, like the plates and the cups and stuff like that. We had a butter dish that broke. It took me 2 years to finally make one to bring it home. My husband's like, "You ever think we'll get a butter dish?" And I'm like, it's kind of like the plumber's pipes, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I really got to more of the sculptural element of it. And then somebody gave me some porcelain doll head molds, and they're made of plaster. I can't stand the feel of plaster. It's like
gritty.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's like nails on a chalkboard. Yeah, the texture of it's gross. But that's when I started making some mugs and vases and smashing it to see what I could come up with. And then during that time, my kids had got me a box of doll parts.
So that's how you got the doll parts.
That's how I got the doll parts. So this was before the studio even closed. I was doing that, and I had actually made some heads for some of the things I was making. And then as the pandemic hit, I couldn't do anything with clay really, because there was nowhere to really fire it or anything either. And so I started going full time on the dolls.
Now this is the cool part. First of all, you rock some nice earrings. I'm feeling the earrings.
You like my
yep.
Yeah, thank you. That's a Queen City there.
Yeah, you gotta represent.
Yep.
So now, this is what I always, because I know we had this little conversation when we met you over in the spot. So I'm really into spooky, haunting stuff. Yeah, that's what I do. I watch that stuff I was by myself last weekend at the house. Guess what I was watching? Spooky, haunted stuff. And then when I would hear stuff in the house, I ain't worried about it. I know the ghost, the spirit's name is Sam. So I told him, like, "Hey, Sam,
that's my son's name."
Stop playing.
Yep.
That's awesome. Ask Nisha. She'll tell you. I'll be talking like, "Hey, Sam." Sometimes I'll be sitting on the couch. It'll be like Sam's trying to stay up late. It'll be 2 or 3 in the morning. Sam will tap me on my shoulder. I'll wake up, go to bed. Because Sam tell me, "You go, bro, get up, go to bed." So I get up and I go to bed. I ain't got no fear of Sam.
Is it for real?
Yeah, I'm not lying. Look at you, thought it was a joke. This ain't even a joke. This is for real.
It's about face. Yeah. So
Have you met Sam?
No, I don't know Sam. He didn't get the chance to meet Sam yet. But like me and Sam, we hang out, we cool, man. Because Sam makes sure that I'm staying on point. That's right. Why I always like say Sam doesn't do anything. Sam doesn't do anything negative. But this is interesting because a lot of things I watch, they deal with dolls. Mm-hmm. And dolls often play scary roles in horror movies. That's how people think about it. Yep. Even on some of the things that I watch, the dolls will be sitting like in a closet and they'll start swinging their legs by themselves, or they'll talk or move their mouths or start looking. This is one that was cool. It's like these two dolls are hanging out and they're kind of like, the guy, he didn't realize this. He's like, I think the dolls are connected because when I take this one doll away, the other doll gets angry. So I put it back and then they're happy again. So they realized like the dolls were like mates. So he keeps the dolls together.
Is this like a paranormal?
Yeah. And this gentleman that I was following, he actually collects dolls in general. It's a big thing that does antiques. And so he has a full room of nothing but.
This portion of the podcast is brought to you by Lynx Recording Studio.
Lynx is a premier audio and video recording studio in the greater Charleston area with 4 completely different booths, multiple peripherals, and 4 producers. They have the ability to service all facets of audio and video creativity.
If you need to record a song, a podcast, create a demo, or even take headshots and complete drops for Hollywood film, they've done it.
Call them at 843-879-9386 or find them online at lynxrecordingstudios.com. That's Lynx, Lynx, recordingstudios.com.
Dolls. And so all these dolls are like, he gets them from different various areas. And so one of the things, first things first, is how do you source your doll supplies?
I go to antique stores, thrift stores. Sometimes people give them to me, which is really awesome, cool. Because then it's a little bit more personal with the product. But I don't want them pristine out of the box, like a collector's item. I want them loved. Yeah. I want to see that hand that dog's chewed on, or the little girl that actually broke off the arm and dad put it back on with some super glue or whatever. I want them loved. Yeah. And the other thing about getting them at antique stores and thrift stores and stuff is I feel like I save them from the landfill for a little bit longer. Yeah. Unfortunately, eventually
it'll get there.
Yeah.
But you make some use out of it.
Yeah. And I apologize to him as I'm taking them apart.
You talk to her?
I do talk. Yeah, I know that sounds weird.
No, it's
my
not.
God, I can't believe I just said that.
No, it's not.
It's like, it'd be better when they're all done.
When I get you all pretty up after we look good. Because at least like she's saying, what is your intention when you create those dark fairy tale like pieces?
I don't go into it thinking of dark fairy tale, but that is what it ends up being. I like that analogy. Yeah. I don't go in for the horror. Now around Halloween, I will make some little
push it a little bit.
Yeah, push it a little bit. I'll make some bride zombies and a little blood dripping down here or whatever. But I like the fairy tale feature that ends up happening, or the Toy Story. It gets compared to Toy Story a lot.
Thinking of Toy Story when you were like broken pieces.
Yeah.
Broken arms, like.
Broken pieces have a place too.
They do.
I have doll parts kind of laying around the apartment. My husband, he's very supportive of me in any art that I do, but he hates this. And I'll tell him all the time, just behave and I won't put one on your nightstand in the morning.
Wait, are these placed in places on purpose?
Oh, yes. I put them all over the place. Yeah. During the pandemic, I made little masks for some of them.
Now they got little doll masks.
Yeah. But... No, I totally went off the rail there. I forgot what I was talking about.
So we're talking about
the dark fairy tales. Yeah. And so my intent is not horror. Mm-hmm. It's just when I see some of these faces are so beautiful. Like some of them I get are just the heads, and like with a little eye broken or the crack from you touch it and the eyes go crazy. Right. Mm-hmm. And they're just so beautiful. I don't know what I'm going to do with them at the time. And that's how I pick them. I'm attracted to whatever the doll is. And like I said, sometimes it's parts, sometimes it's the heads, or sometimes it's a whole piece. And then the parts that I assemble with them are a totally different shopping trip.
Yeah.
Or there's stuff found around the house. Yeah. Like, did you see the alligator one?
Yeah, that's the one you broke down for me, the alligator. Yeah. So cool. Whoa. Yep.
Actually,
that's our next interview.
It's actually our sweetheart. This is the kid.
Hey, nice to meet you. Hi, I'm Stephanie. Nice to meet you.
No cotton in the back. I'm over our court. We just going to him.
Tell him to put his phone on silent if he come back in here.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. So back to what we were talking about with those pieces and like how you would take the different parts from different things that occur. We were talking about the alligator piece.
Yeah.
So what goes in comes out.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. There's a little content right there. Yeah, that had been traveling with us in boxes for years.
Yeah.
My oldest is 26. He lives out in Seattle. Yeah. And it was in the closet, broken. The tail broke off. And I'm like, perfect. There's a doll that's going to go with in the mouth, and and the other part of it's going to go at the end. Oh, wow. So usually I don't have a concept or an idea. I just want it to be funny in some way.
That's what I was about to say. I do see the humor in the work.
Yeah.
It's not, and that's what I was trying to, like, it's creepy. It's not scary. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, it's not, it really is not horror. Yeah. It's just
like a funny child.
Yeah. Like, how would you put this back together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny. One of my favorite things is the visceral response of people who go by my studio because dolls are creepy just by themselves. Nothing else that is needed. It's just creepy. But so where I sit in there, I'm hidden from people all the time.
Can't see her. Nope. Didn't even know she was in there.
I know. And to listen to people, it is hilarious.
When he was walking by, I was like, shh.
She's right there.
You just talk to her, be quiet. And then you're like, oh, there you are.
I was like, I walked right up on her. I was just like, hey, this is who I want to speak with anyway.
Yeah, we're calling. Matter of fact, it's like that we're recording. Let me find a chair. We got 2 chairs.
Do we have them? They're stuck double stacked back there.
I can move my purse and my coat.
Yeah, just bring her purse over here by her, and then y'all can sit there. Just make sure your phone's on silent.
Yeah, your phone's on silent.
Thank you.
Yeah, I said, go off the report.
You get caught in the clip. It's all right.
And like I said, it's the hide in the store.
Yeah. All right, ready? All right. All right. Like we were saying, so it's not that first of all, go back to your space, how you're hidden in your little space. Mm-hmm. So when you come in, like I did, I came in, I said, "Ooh, look, it's creepy dolls."
I know.
And so I was like, "Hey, man, she's right here."
They're rolling my chair back and
like, she's making these on purpose. And like you said, being an adult, so like taking that idea and then running with it. My big question too is, do you ever feel dark spirit energy from the finished pieces as they sit in your studio? Do any of the pieces or dolls that you collect, do they give you any weird energy?
There's 2 dolls that I have not done anything with, and they're wrapped up in paper in the stool in my studio. They creep, and that's a lot for me to say that they creep me out. But yeah, I'm just not there yet.
Where did you get them from? Where did you source them from?
They were here in Charlotte. I think one was out. No, I take it back. One I got online, Facebook Marketplace. That's another place today. And the other one was, I think, in Matthews area
Seriously?
Yeah.
Do you cleanse any of your dolls or
like spiritual cleanse or
spiritual
wipe?
Cleanse.
Wipe.
Like spiritual cleanse, like energy.
Sage the baby dolls.
I might these 2. I don't know.
In that. Yeah, because she showed me them. They wrapped up. They in that thing. They ain't coming out.
Yeah.
She is like trapped. Okay.
Yeah, that one that stuffing's all coming out and the eyes are all like, oh. And yeah, she worries me a little bit, but
for the most part,
sage might be a good idea.
No, seriously, have you experienced anything weird at your house?
I haven't. No, honestly,
I ain't got no Sams at your house besides your son.
No Sams, no. I have a funny story. My mom might have had Sams at her house because she would tell us stories when they had an uncle that got hit by a drunk driver when he was walking or something. Mm-hmm. She said she used to play ball with him up in the attic. She would be at the bottom of the stairs and she would throw the ball up, and she said it wasn't like it would just roll back down. She was like, it was like somebody tossed it down. Wow. And then this one, she even laughed. It was like a couple of days before she passed away. And I'm standing there talking to her, and she's looking at the end of the bed, and she's like, "You see her?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Yeah, there's a girl right there." And I said, "I don't see her, Mom." I said, "What does she want?" Mom said, "She wants to talk to you." And I said, "Oh, no, she doesn't want to talk to me." No, she wants to talk to you, right? Not me.
He said, "I ain't got nothing to do with that. So I ain't touch that at all." So with this type of specialized work, what kind of customers are attracted to you? Have you been paying attention to the kind of customer base?
You know what's so funny?
What's that?
Men are the biggest buyers of my work.
I believe it.
Men from probably, I would say, in their 30s to 50s.
See, that's my age range. That's me. I'm the demographic.
And they will drag their wives
See?
over there.
I'm the demographic.
You are. And the wives, half the time they'll come and half the time they won't, or girlfriends. But yeah, I was so surprised.
Is that interesting?
Another thing that you reminded me of too, especially like once I got back home and started processing it, it reminded me of the lamp off the Christmas Story.
Oh.
Yeah, it reminded me of that.
The leg lamp.
The leg lamp.
Yeah. I never thought about it like that too.
Yeah.
But yeah. Fragile.
Yes, fragile.
Yes, it was so fragile.
Yes, fragile.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
And that was one of the things that I think surprised me about when I was looking at your art. One of the things that caught me was the way in which you were producing it is very exact. Mm-hmm. And I was explaining that to my wife when I went home. I was like, she's not haphazardly throwing together pieces. And we were going over your portfolio and looking at it. Last night I was showing her everything again. Like, this is what I was seeing. This is what was here. I was like, look how cool this is. And she's like, wow. She's like, this stuff is like, it's legit. It's put together. It's not like you just take some tape and wrap this stuff up and throw it out there. These are pieces of artwork that stand by themselves.
That might come from the ceramics background, you know, because everything is so fragile and you want to make sure that it's made well. And as a matter of fact, when I do some shows and things, if somebody wants, I always tell people, pick it up. I said, that way it tells me if I made any mistakes in making it and I can hopefully fix it, or you have to pick something else because I messed up.
Exactly.
I don't want it to break. And then I'm trying to get into more moving parts and things like that too. So that's going to be a challenge of putting it together.
Enough so that it can.
Yeah.
That's so different because most art stuff will go like, don't touch. You know, you see
I know.
Like touch.
Don't touch.
Like, no, pick it up.
Yep.
That's what I was worried about too. I didn't want to touch anything. They were telling me, no, go ahead.
Yeah, I love people to pick it. Like the alligator one.
Yeah.
So my first try, and there's no way I can fix it, but I used for the legs of the doll, I used some Sculpey clay to try to stuff the end of the alligator and then put the legs in there. The first one dried and it shrunk so much that I couldn't, but it didn't shrink enough to get it out. So when I used the next piece and I put it over it, now it kind of rattles. Because there's a
that's sound,
yeah, it is. It's a lot of problem because I may have an idea of something going together that's just not going to work. I'm pretty good with knowing about different adhesives and stuff like that.
I was about to ask you, how do you glue this stuff together?
E6000 is a miracle glue. E6000.
Make sure they hear that. E6000.
And it's a really good glue, and it'll even glue like porcelain, things, even though it's porous.
Yeah.
But if you put the glue on both pieces and adhere it that way, I use glue guns and
that's another thing I thought was cool about your space. I told my wife, I was like, yo, it's like I went into like Madman's research lab. Like you had everything in there and you have your little, I said she has tools and hardware. Like she's going to work with.
You saw my Craftsman toolbox.
Yeah.
I got that for Christmas for my husband and my kids. That was my Christmas gift. I love that thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I have them saw. I have more tools than my husband does.
I figure that.
Now, my favorite piece is the one that's outside your studio, where it's the actual painting with the arms coming out of it.
Yeah.
I like that.
That one was a specific. So I had a series of doing mushrooms. I was trying to think of like urban decay. So I have this paint that does a patina feel, and so I made these mushroom caps with legs basically for the stem, and then we did a workshop at Cal for different artists came in for a week and told us their stories and different things about their careers. And then at the end of it, it was sponsored by Truist Bank. And so if you did this workshop, Truist had an art gala. And so I thought, well, I'll do something from one of my pieces. And that I had a piece that had the mushroom with the leg in it and everything. So that's how that one came out about. And I learned how to spray paint from one of the artists that week too.
For real?
Yeah, I had never really used just a spray paint the whole object, but not layering it and everything like that. Yeah,
because I see like in your work that you had that you use spray paint, art paint, etc. to color the dolls.
Yeah, I use so many different mediums: markers, charcoal, wax. There's a lot of. There's nothing that's off limits.
Okay.
That's what I like about it too. Yeah. That's what I think I like. There is no boundary to it.
Thanks. It's just pain to store all the stuff.
There's a lot that goes into work. And I guess just to make sure that we're rounding out properly today, must ask you this. Of course, you heard this question already, so you should be prepared for it.
Okay.
We all know that mental health should be a top priority for everybody, for everyone in today's society. So how do you balance your work in your daily life?
Well, it's like you and I were talking about. You can go in and work from an emotional state, whether it's happy, sad, or mad or whatever. I can't get any work done that way. So as far as mental health, I try to do other things, talking to a friend or going for a walk or going to view art. To me, that is very good for my mental health, of seeing other artists who are new artists and are making it now, or seeing the old masters, Rembrandt. And I just love every bit of art I can consume. I like going to conventions. We just had a great show last night. I think it was called Sheen. I think they had started putting up some of the stuff when you guys were there for the Elizabeth, and even going to see Bullets and Band-Aids. That was incredible. And and also, if I could go to school again, I'd be a full-time student forever. I love to learn new mediums and everything. But so my 2 children are creatives as well. One does video game design, and the other one is a props artist for theater. Yeah. And my youngest has a little bit more anxiety, and I tell him, be with like-minded people. Not to the point where, you're taking on somebody else's problems or anything like that, but helping to uplift somebody else often helps yourself. And a lot of times somebody's going through the same thing. And I think just those are important. And I really like the idea of people being able to work out their issues through art. I wish I could.
Like art therapy.
Yeah.
I wish I could when, there's something really emotional going on, or I'm mad about something. I'd love to be able to just scribble on there, but then all I see is scribble. I don't see anything come out of it. And,
I get you.
And like I love abstract art because I am not that free.
It's so hard.
It is.
We keep hitting that point today. Yeah, it's hard to do just blatant abstract art.
Yeah, like, the lines. When somebody just does a line and then a color block here and a color block here. It's like, I can't remember the artist's name off the top of my head, but
just not yet.
Yeah, but then just abstract works of being able to collage things and putting paint over it and stuff like that. I have to be more controlled than that.
Yeah.
It's just me.
Yeah. That's personality. And it comes through, it shows in your art. Yeah. And I like it though. I like it a lot.
I like it. And I like to make people laugh. So I guess that could be part of my therapy now that we're talking about that, because I will sit in my studio and laugh. It's something
I'm fine.
I've had that.
I'm doing well.
Yeah. So maybe that is my therapy part of it, of doing something and making people laugh.
It's a good point to make. Great point to make. Finally, what are some tips for artists that are struggling with the pressure to produce artwork in a timely manner that you could give to our listeners who might themselves be artists or creatives?
I think that's difficult. It's difficult for me. I don't think I could be like a production potter because I know I couldn't. Because having to produce something like that, then it doesn't feel like art. I shouldn't say it doesn't feel like art. It doesn't feel like fun. Work. Exactly. I always want, when I'm done making things and it feels like work, then I'm done. I have to go into something else if it feels like it's starting to be work.
Good point.
I've done some commission work and was very glad when I'm done with it.
Finally, it's out.
It's finally, it's out there. It's in their hands now, and
y'all gotta talk to them. And see it.
And that's the other thing too. People, and that's great. People change their minds or want to add this or want to touch that or whatever. But when you've already made something and then, the changes they want more changes, it gets to be difficult also because art's very personal.
Yeah. It's when your baby's not good.
Exactly.
Well, she said, I'm sensitive about my art. What is it?
I'm sensitive about my...
What is the saying?
Okay, remember
I respect my art, but I'm sensitive about... I forgot the saying.
I think it was something vulgar at the end.
Sensitive about my shit.
Like that. I think that's what it is. Because you know what we're talking about, Kev. Oh, what's Mr. Ladies Day? I can't remember at the moment. But no, she was talking about that. And
I would love to know that quote. Yeah,
she loves her art. Be nice, but she's sensitive about her
shit.
Yeah.
It is like somebody saying something about your kids. Yeah. It's like you turn into that mama bear and it's like,
No, that's Erykah Badu.
Yeah.
Erykah Badu. She said, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my ish.
Yeah.
Very good. I like that.
And it's real.
Yeah.
It's real.
It's a part of you.
Yeah.
Every time you put out a piece, it's a part of you that's going out.
That's exactly why I don't be doing digital design no more.
Should be out here beating somebody up.
Just they want to critique every little thing, and then it's like, why don't you do it yourself then? At this point, like,
yeah, Yeah, and then okay, so there's input from somebody, but then where you get to be the artist in it.
Yeah, allow me to be my creative self.
Yeah, I just did a mural on, it's called Villani's Bakery. It's over in Pleasant Midwood, and I felt like I kept texting the owners saying, okay, is this okay? Is this okay? Is this okay? And they were like, just do whatever you want to do. We're good with it. Yeah. And that was so freeing and wonderful, but it was scary at the same time, because then I was just like, at the end I was like, okay, now are they going to like it? And they love it, you know? Yeah. But that goes back to where I have to believe in myself more. Yeah. And I think as artists, we are insecure whether we show it or not. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it goes back to, that's a piece of you that goes out there on full display, being vulnerable. Yep. Another thing that we've been touching on recently, that vulnerability aspect of it with creative. Yeah. Oh yeah. Environment. Yeah, definitely.
Any upcoming projects that we can look out for?
Yeah, I do this thing, you know, how people say, these are my people. Yeah, yeah. The Southeast Punk Flea Market. It's got all kinds of those crazy oddities, things. So my work fits in well there. It's the type of people that are coming in that are looking for that stuff. Exactly, you know? Exactly. So I have that in April, the end of April in Spartanburg. And I usually do a few of those a year. And nothing else scheduled right now, but towards the end of the year was when I get a little bit busier. Okay. So my studio will be a mess for about a month in April. So if you want to come and see. We can see what the mess looks like. Yeah, we'll definitely come back up. Yeah. My studio is at the Charlotte Art League, and it's an amazing space. The events that they put on there is just getting better. And yeah, in a couple of years, that place is going to be hot. She told us it's only been open for a year. Yeah. That space. They used to be down the road. Yeah, that's what she's telling us. Yeah, they to that new space. But that new space and the digital area was incredible too. It's just, and it's really building up in that area. They're supposed to be putting a restaurant over there. The night we were there, when we were leaving, we heard a rave going on next door. Yeah, it was popping. Yeah, so the movie theater. Yeah, it's a great place.
People find you on social media.
On Instagram, it's at sgainer, Gainer. My website link is in my Instagram profile because it's just like too long and I haven't memorized it all yet because my kid made it for me.
Yeah. You're telling me that. I was looking at your website. Yeah. I like it.
Oh, thanks.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you. And on Facebook, it's Stephanie Gainer Arts.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. I want to thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you guys. This was a blast. I knew it was going to be fun because the way we were in the studio the other day, it just had a blast with you guys.
DM you to tell you to bring one of your pieces
so you can have it on the play. Yeah, that would have been dope too.
I thought about it for a minute and then I forgot. That happens when you get older too.
Just have to check it out.
Yeah, come and see me in person. Because if somebody sends me a message, I can meet them up there anytime. Other than that, we're Friday and Saturdays, we're open 1 to 7. And on Sunday, we're open 12 to 4, I believe.
And you can purchase anytime.
Anytime. Yeah. I don't even have to be. Yeah, I do too. I don't have to be there for you to purchase. And yeah, it was great. Great. Thank you guys. So no, thank you. This was awesome.
Excellent. This is DJ and what? Tamaya? Skip? Yep. Stephanie.
Yes.
With the Hilltop Club podcast. We appreciate you joining us today. Peace.
That's it for today's episode of the Hilltop Glove podcast. Make sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other platforms. Also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Hilltop Glove.